You were here. I'm a couple of minutes early, actually. Hello. DJ B2 is there already, and Mr. Wonderful. I'm actually a bit early. Have I got my dragon juice at the ready, says Clopite. Yes, I've got to fill up the glass, actually. And Mr. Wonderful, hello, to hell with the New World Order. Precisely. Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me all right? I'm guessing no one's complaining that I'm silent, so I hope you can all hear me. Am I audible? Because I'm not sure. I'd rather use this mic if possible because it's better quality than the webcam mic. But it's sometimes. Oh, thanks, Clopite. Hello, Steve. Steve 071 is here. Thanks, DJ. HQ Comms. Hello, how are you? It's good to meet you. I only meet some of you. Iron Man Spartan. Hello, Anthony Morn. Greetings. It's great. I only actually see some of you on like live streams. Let me just, I've got to share this now. Right. So I'll put it, I won't forget this time. So I'll put that on Twitter. And I will put this on, right, that's posted to Twitter. And I'll put this on Facebook. It's no Google Plus anymore. So everyone knows it's there. And put that on post to Facebook. There we are. I can probably, let's have a look. I can probably, I could probably actually, let's have a look. I'll probably actually, yeah, I'll share it to my fan page. Here we go. There we go. I have a fan page, believe it or not. Yeah, it's called the Ben Emily Jones Appreciation Group. It was the date. Is it working? Oh, blimey, I'm there. Yep, I'm there. Cool, guys. Well, let's see how many other people have we. We have I Am a Spartan, Mr. Wonderful, Anthony Morn, HQ Comms, S65, Clopite, Dragon Juice at the ready, Drink of Champions. Damn right, yeah. Yes, that's right. I can't do a live stream without my Dragon Juice. I've got a chaser as well. It's actually just coffee. Just check coffee there. I Am a Spartan says, "Are you of any faith?" I'm a lapsed Roman Catholic, but I'm not. I went through a phase. I should do an entire live stream one. It's like the flat Earth one. I'm going to do one of those to just shut you guys up. Diego Rivera, hello. In answer to your question, Iron Man, I'm not an atheist. I actually went through a phase when I was like a Richard Dawkins type atheist when I first lapsed from my faith and the church. Funnily enough, my dad has now lapsed. He only didn't talk to me about it much, but he actually didn't mention he's lapsed since my mum died. My brother is now a Church of England. But I'm not, I wouldn't call myself an atheist, absolutely not. To say that God doesn't exist, no. HQ, what is dragon juice? It's actually water mixed with that. And I know about aspartame and things like that, but I can't worry about too many things. It's just, there's too much to worry about in this world, and I just can't. God bless you too, Iron Man. And Clopite, thank God May has gone. Yeah, I'll be saying a bit more about that later. I've got a short intro to talk about. Now, if you guys hold your questions for the time being. I mean, it's a bit awkward because I'd like to be able to suspend the live chat while I'm doing the lead off. But the lead off's not a long one. But hold your questions now because I won't go back to the top when I'll just skim the questions that are posted during the lead off, which means most of them won't get answered. Okay. So if you want to ask me a question, I recommend very much that you do not say anything to me until I finish the lead off. But this is about the European elections. Right, this is very interesting. It's interesting that Theresa May announced her resignation the day after Britain voted in the European elections. Now, these 2019 European parliamentary elections, there's not a lot to say. I don't have a huge note about it. But funny enough, this is the 9th election. There's only been first direct election since 1979, even though the European Union in various forms has existed since 1946, the Treaty of Brussels. Indeed, you could trace its origins back to 1920 and the beginning of the Charlemagne Prize and the book Pan-Europa by Count von Coudenhove-Kalergi. So there's a parliament in the European Union. As you all know, it looks very much like Bruegel's Tower of Babel, which is interesting. It's actually modelled on that. It's not a coincidence. It's not just secret symbolism. It is modelled on the famous painting Bruegel's Tower of Babel. There is a 705 members of the European Parliament in this building, where they sit around talking. They only get very short speeches. I think they're allowed 2 minutes or something. I've seen a few of them. Nigel Farage is probably the only one worth listening to. A couple of the others maybe. They get to speak in all European language, and they have live translations to earpieces. So it's like the United Nations. So you put your earpiece in, and someone will translate what someone else is saying into the language you speak. Although you just better hope that the translator is telling you the truth. Eh? You know what I mean? They might be lying to you. So now there's lots of parties. There's some that are specific to there's various alliances that are specific to the European Parliament. But the names of the parties you see in the EU Parliament are exactly the same as the ones you see in the Westminster Parliament. It's Labour, Conservative, UKIP, etc. And there's various parties, political parties from other countries as well. What you'll find is that the parties that do well in their national elections tend not to do very well in the European Union Parliament. I think that's going to be especially the case this time. You'll also find that those fringe parties, the ones that have little or no representation in their nations, often become very successful in the EU Parliament. And that's got a lot to do with proportional representation, because they do have a system of proportional representation there, which is different from what we have in this country. Now, we'd actually had a referendum on the poor proportional representation here. But what it means, the system we have now basically means that each individual seat has to be fought for independently. And which means you can actually lose an election under the first past the post system, which we have in the Westminster Parliament, while winning the popular vote. It doesn't matter. It depends where the seats are. That's what counts, because each independent seat is fought for separately, which means that you have to win that seat. You have to win the majority of votes within that constituency. If you don't, then your vote is just useless. Every vote you get which does not win in a particular seat is useless. Whereas in the EU Parliament, the seats are dependent. It's all dependent on the numbers of votes across the whole of the region. Now, there's a certain number of regions. I did have a map here. Where are they? There are a certain number of regions. Each country is split into a certain number of regions. At the moment, they are actually within nation states, or there's plans to change the regional boundaries, not to take into account the borders of particular nations, member states, as they call them, within the EU. So that's a very significant, because it indicates the agenda the EU has for complete national absorption into the super state. So, for example, there'll be there's one region I know which is planned, which is going to be called Transmanche. Manche is the French word for the English Channel, and it will include the Transmanche region will include the northwest of France, where Calais is, but also what we now call Kent and East Anglia and London. Those names will no longer have any meaning under the ultimate agenda for the European Union reorganisation. At the moment, we have the regions. The regions are, we have England, the nations of the United Kingdom are left intact. So, for example, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales all account for one region. But England is divided into more regions. There is the southwest, the southeast, which is where I am, even though Oxford is very central, where I'm actually in Oxford in England, which is very centrally located within England. There's London, which is a region of its own. There's East Anglia, the East Midlands, West Midlands, Yorkshire and Humber, Northwest, which includes everything from the Scottish borders at Carlisle right down as far south as, say, Stoke-on-Trent and Chester on the Welsh borders. And there's Northeast, which is kind of like the area around Newcastle upon Tyne, as far south as, say, Teesside and that area. You know what? Did you know the name of your MEP? Because I don't. I don't know who my bloody MEP is. And you know what? I've not met anyone who does outside actual politics. Who is my MEP? Let's have a look. I'm going to Google who my bloody MEP is now. Who is my MEP? Google. Who is your MEP? It's on. I've got writetothem.com, and European Parliament Europa. You're members in the European Parliament. Let's have a look. All right, European Parliament members for the European Parliament 2014 to 2019. Let's click them and see who they are. Oh, it's just a banner. Doesn't actually tell you who they are. Oh, here we go. Right, Southeast region, 10 MEPs. Nigel Farage is one of them. Go, Nige. Daniel Hannan. Oh, God, he's a twat. I'll stand him. Janice Atkinson, never heard of her. Nurj Diva. He's with Conservative and reformist groups. He's one of them. John Howarth. I've never heard of him. Diane James, not heard of him. Richard Ashford. Keith Taylor. Catherine Bearder. Raymond Finch. Most of these people are names. I've only ever heard of two of these people. And I had no idea they represented me. I didn't even know that Farage was actually... he's a member of the Europe for Freedom and Direct Democracy groups. That's like a coalition of various nationalist parties within the European Union. So, you know, you learn something every day. I've just found out who my MEP is. And of course, we're voting for these people again. Oh, I've got no idea. But there's Conservative represented here. We have here the Conservatives. There's some independent one here. There's Labour. There's another independent, Conservative Green Party, Liberal Democrats. And UKIP, there's a second UKIP person here. As I said, they got two. In my region, there are two UKIP members. That's because all these people I just listed, these various MPs, these 10 people, are elected proportionally. So in a first past the post system, if all these people were representing different constituencies, it'll be another matter. It's possible there'd be no UKIPs at all. Right, so what the European Parliament is, as I said, it's got 700, was it 700 and something members? What was it? Oh, where's my notes? 705 members. Now, this is where I get frustrated with Ramonas, including my own father, who is... I did a video about this, about how I have a lot of trouble with my dad, because he's gone full Ramona. He signs all the petitions, you know, about screwing up the referendums and stuff like that. Article 50 doesn't matter what else because I want it. You know, all those referendums, he signs them all. And I swear to you, he's lost every debate I ever had with him on this matter. Every single debate, I thrashed him hands down. Yet he will not change his position. He refuses to change his position. This is not going to be a live stream about my dad. I've gone into that already. But I've just basically given up. But one of the things I informed him, I asked him, so what have you ever written to your MEP? At first I asked him who his MEP was, and he didn't know. This is from a guy who loves the European Union so much and wants to be a part of it so much that he's willing to shut his ears, not only to the democratic decision of the referendum, but to logic and reason. He didn't know who his MEP was. I said, if you knew, would you write to them over a certain subject? And he said, yes, I would. I'd write to them. And you think they would propose a bill which would be voted on, like you do in the House of Commons? He says, yes. And then I hit him with a punchline. Members of the EU Parliament can't propose bills. The EU Parliament, the job of the EU Parliament is to debate and vote on policies, that is, bills presented by the European Commission. Now, the European Commission is something it's actually, someone was saying the other day that there was a guy on, I think it was Paul Joseph Watson, one of his videos. They had a guy who was a Russian chap who was in the Soviet Union, and he said the Soviet Union was more democratic than the EU because it was run very similar. The Soviet Union was run by a Politburo of various people, and he said there were like a number of these guys just sitting around the table. None of them were elected, none of them were selected. Basically, he said that it was very, very similar. There was like there was an advisory. There was what they call the Duma, which was I think they changed its name to something else, Central Committee or something. And that was the original Duma, was set up by the last Tsar, Nicholas II. But basically, the point was he was saying that it's actually less democratic. And I can't remember the details, and I didn't look them up. But the European Parliament has to vote on the proposals by the European Commission, which are the European Commission. The European Commission is a group of unelected officials, bureaucrats, who sit around the table, and they just literally do nothing except talk over. They just basically make laws. They talk about the laws they're going to make, and they make laws. They put these to the Parliament. The Parliament has to approve them. Once they're approved, the Parliament cannot repeal them or amend them. They can't repeal. So once these laws are made, that's it. There's absolutely no recourse, democratic recourse. The only way an act of the European Commission, whatever it's called, can be actually repealed or amended is by the European Commission itself. MEPs are people who are paid a lot of money to sit around talking about things, but they have virtually no legislative power at all. And if you watch Brexit the movie, it goes into this in more detail. I don't have all the details to hand right now. Brexit the movie talks about this, that really the European Union is run by this unelected dictatorship of the Commission. And so what is the purpose of having all these 705 guys and gals sitting around in a corner with earplugs in their ear listening to things in their own language? And the answer is show. It's a shop window. It is there to give the impression, or just give the image, that the European Union is some kind of democracy. It's some kind of republic. That is the image they're giving out, and it is not. It is not. It's nothing of the sort. Now, I was actually considering voting in this particular election. Now, this is a question that's going to be on all your lips, and there's probably someone has already posted it. Did I vote, and who did I vote for? Well, if I voted, you probably would have guessed the kind of people I would have voted for. I've already named one of them. But I didn't. I've actually never voted in a European election, and even this is probably the closest I ever came to deciding to do so. I had a lot of thinking to do, because this was something of a dilemma, because I've been listening to people talking about this, and some of them were absolutely convinced we should vote in the European election. They absolutely should. I was on a radio show with one of them, actually. It was the Seeking the Truth show. At the same time, there are other people, including my good friend Caroline Stevens, who advocate that we should boycott it. And I wasn't as certain as Caroline is that was the right thing to do. In fact, I'm still not 100% certain what is the right thing to do in this situation. I mean, it's too late now. I've made a decision. The decision I made was not to vote. The reason I did that was because I believe, firstly, the European Parliament itself is a fraud. But secondly, we voted to leave the European Union. We should be out by now. In fact, if this court case goes through, Robin Tilbrook's court case, which you probably heard about, I think I've mentioned it on a previous video. I'm sure I did. But anyway, you can look it up, just Google his name. He's from the English Democrats. If that goes through, then it'll be proved that the government lied about us leaving on the 29th, lied about us leaving on the not leaving on the 29th of March. They didn't amend the Article 50 Act at all, which means we did leave on the 29th of March. Of course, they're going to pretend otherwise. They're going to lie, but that's the fact. So you'd be breaking the law to take part in that election, knowing, if you knew that, if knowingly getting involved in this election, when you knew that. In fact, it could be considered an act of treason. It could be considered collusion with a foreign power, a foreign force of occupation. So I didn't vote. I boycotted the election, and I believe that is empowering. It's a way of turning our back on this whole thing and saying, no, we don't want to be in here. We don't want to be in it. We don't want to be part of this. We shouldn't even be a part of this. We should have left months ago, and so would not even be in this parliament. What's more, we're on the way out, apparently. We're supposed to be leaving. The latest date is Halloween, October the 31st, maybe before then. Why are we voting to be in a parliament which we're not going to be, we're not going to be a part of for a long time? Why are we spending between 70 and 150 million pounds to be a part of this bloody election, which is what the British taxpayers had to pay? To be part of something we don't want to be a part of, we shouldn't be lawfully. It's like ordering a slap-up meal at a restaurant just as you're walking towards the door. So I boycotted it. At the same time, other people were saying, no, Ben, you've got to vote. It's important to vote because you get it. It's symbolic, because you realise that this is going to be like a protest vote. It's going to be, some people even calling it an opinion poll on Brexit. And of course, if I mean, as I believe will happen, the Brexit Party and UKIP do very well indeed, and indeed they could well become the leaders, and it looks like the mainstream parties are going to get the biggest kick in the teeth they've ever had. Conservatives going to be out. Labour and Lib Dem will do better than Conservatives simply because they're now jumping on the bloody Ramona bandwagon. That is a big disappointment, actually. Jeremy Corbyn. Maybe, I mean, who knows what they got on him? Maybe some photos of him with Diane Abbott, and they threatened to release them. I don't know, but they've got something on Corbyn, or Corbyn is not the misguided but sincere ideologue I thought he was. And he's done an entire U-turn since when they had the split and Change UK left. They allegedly left because of anti-Semitism, but they've gone full Ramona. I mean, they've gone Ramona plus. They're Ramonas on speed. These guys. I mean, Savage Javid, that horrible little squit, is saying quite openly, a Change UK government will repeal Article 50. No second referendums, no people's vote. We'll rip up the 2016 referendum in the face of all these horrible, uneducated white males, and we will revoke Article 50. They've said it. And Corbyn, of course, Corbyn and indeed the Lib Dems, or the Lib Dems are slightly more honest because they've always done this. They saw these 6 million who signed a petition, these 6 million anti-democratic Ramonas, and then they're dangling the bait for these people. It just shows how opportunistic and dishonest these figures are. Don't know how they judge it. I mean, they probably rationalize it and justify it to themselves by saying, "Oh yes, but we need to get into power. We need to get into office." Oh, a lot of politicians go through this kind of. They often go through this dilemma, about do you stick by your principles and never get elected, or do you trade some of them in to get elected? The problem is, if you take the second route, it never ends because you're just caught in a trap where you have to backtrack more and more to have your way to work within the system until you're just a pale husk of your former self, and you really, it's meaningless. It's been a meaningless exercise all along, and I think Corbyn is in that position now. And the Lib Dems, oh god, they got signs up all over Oxford, "Stop Brexit," in their little sort of orange diamond logo. It doesn't even say Lib Dems in it. It just says "Stop Brexit." This is a single issue election, and most of us are single issue voters now. But I'm not a voter at all. I didn't vote in this one. In the Westminster, I think the Westminster Parliament I'll vote, because I'll vote for the first time in ages in the Westminster Parliament, because for the first time I feel it's worth doing. Yeah, I don't know if you saw it. There's a very good interview with Gemma Doherty, the great Irish freedom fighter, who I really wanted to meet at AV10, and I didn't get a chance to meet her. That great Irish freedom fighter. She's done an interview with Ian R. Crane, and I've got to apologise to Ian because Ian is someone he's been saying now, long before 2016, that we have to take part in the political system by voting. I used to disagree with him before 2016. I don't anymore. I agree with him. He was right all along. So I will be voting in the Westminster election. So what's happened so far? Well, there's been the news is strangely quiet about the whole thing. There's just loads and loads of stuff about there's just like pictures of people going out to vote. The European elections, the view from your regions, there's people going out to vote. There's some reports from the previous election. There's some pictures of polling stations, and some of them are in caravans, and some of them are on canal boats. One of them's in a church hall, and the vicars are there, handing out cups of tea to people. It's all very quaint and English. So there's not actually much to say, except apparently some people apparently who supposedly didn't have the right to vote have not been given the right to vote. There's some people who have complained. Some of them are like non-British EU citizens. I don't know. I haven't looked into that in detail, but it depends which country they come from. But I think Irish people are allowed to vote in this particular election in Britain. They're Irish citizens. So I'm not sure exactly what the rules are. The Electoral Commission said there was very short notice from the government about the UK's participation in the election, which had an impact on the process. It's all, oh dear. What does it matter? I mean, you'd think this wouldn't be an issue. unless there's something going on behind the scenes. And you may have seen all the stuff about the Lisbon Treaty, which I think is a real issue, and indeed the military unification problem, because the military, all these things such as the Lisbon Treaty is still on the statute books, even in a post-Brexit world. The military unification program is still going ahead, even in a post-Brexit world. So I've always said this: Brexit is not the end goal of anything. Brexit would be a good thing to get, but it mustn't make us complacent. It would probably be worse for the government if they just deny it altogether. They deny Brexit, actually. I mean, as I said before, there's no good way out for them here. There's no good way out for them at all. And then Theresa May, the day after the European Parliament, I got home from work, logged in to social media, and it's all over there. Theresa May quit. She's going to retire. She's going to quit as Conservative leader and Prime Minister on the 7th of June, and she'll just be sort of caretaker Prime Minister until the election of the new Prime Minister is actually held. And this is going to be a great. This is just incredible. I mean, it feels like it's almost like we've seen a mountain collapse. Do you remember when Theresa May became Prime Minister? I actually did a video about this and made him an article. I said that she only took over as Prime Minister in 2016 after Cameron he fluffed the bloody EU vote and lost. She took over. A few months later, in early 2017, she holds a general election to consolidate her power by the will of the people, and she loses it. Well, that was so funny. And she ends up getting into a coalition with the Democratic Unionist Party, this group from Northern Ireland, which ironically, they're the only parliamentary party in the House of Commons that are actually representing their constituents properly. And which gives her I think it gives them, they only got 10 members, which gave her a majority of about 2 or something. And I said she'd be out by November that year. I said she might last till the end of the year, but there's no way she can remain in. There's got to be another general election. There has to be. I said that in early 2017. And somehow she's held on. And I don't understand. It just shows how chaotic everything is in politics at the moment, because all the normal procedures have been thrown out the window. All the normality has been thrown out the window. I said it before in the previous video. Even the party divisions have broken down. We could see a Labour Conservative coalition. You never know. I mean, it's hilarious. And she's now finally the unsinkable, the unstoppable Mrs. May. For some reason, is now quitting after surviving votes of no confidence and votes and leadership challenges. She's held on, but she's like the feeble emperor. She reminds me of King Theoden in Lord of the Rings before he had his transformation, when he was under the spell of Wormtongue. You know, she's just this feeble, but who dances around like an idiot and just reads from a script and goes into this whole Brexit thing, obviously with the intention to scupper it. She's the most unpopular prime minister in all the polls for ages and ages and ages. Somehow she hangs on, and now she's finally gone. Finally, she's gone. She did this speech where she cried at the end of it. It's an awful speech. She said it was an honour to serve the country I love, and she starts crying. She said she was the second female prime minister, but certainly not the last. So she appeals to the feminists as well. And now there's now a leadership challenge. Wait, I had a list of them all anyway. Let's have a look. Where are they? I saw it in my notes here with all the different possible people who might take over. Possible new Tory leaders. Now these are possible new Tory leaders. Here we go. Who will be the next Prime Minister? And there's going to be a leadership contest now. The winner will be the Conservative leader, and probably within a month after Theresa May quitting, they'll be brought in as Prime Minister. Okay, we have a number of people here. There's Boris Johnson, Andrea Leadsom, Dominic Raab, Michael Gove. They're the top 4. Below them is Jeremy Hunt, You've got to be careful how you say that. Sajid Javid, Rory Stewart, Liz Truss. Below that, Amber Rudd, Matt Hancock, Priti Patel, Esther McVeigh, Penny Mordaunt, and Sir Graham Brady. They're the people who are likely to run, or said they're going to run. And you know what? About a third of these people I've never heard of them. But let's go through them anyway. Priti Patel rings a bell. I think she said something. I think she was one of these people who made a fuss about anti-Semitism. I can't remember. Amber Rudd, who is the Work and Pensions Secretary. So, it's basically, that means she's in charge of putting people on slave labour schemes in the job centre minus, where you go along there and have to work for nothing with some whip-cracking person over you. Sajid Javid is infamous for, he's the Home Secretary, he's infamous for his position on various things to do with the grooming gang scandal and things like that. Jeremy Hunt, who's Foreign Secretary, he used to be Culture Secretary. Jeremy, the Culture Secretary, yes, Culture Secretary. As I said, you've got to be careful how you say it. Michael Gove, who is on the surface, he's a Brexiteer, but he's got no bottom. He's always sliming around and appeasing. I don't trust him. Andrea Leadsom, former leader of the House, she quit actually over. No, it wasn't her who quit, was it? Yeah, I think she was a Brexiteer who quit because Theresa May was messing around. So she's an enemy of Theresa May. Boris Johnson and Dominic Raab. Now, these are two guys who are backbenchers. They're the only backbenchers running. Dominic Raab, I don't know very much about. Now, Boris Johnson, of course, is the one who's on everyone's lips. Bojo, Boris, good old Boris. Oh, yes. Now, someone has posted on Facebook a picture of him. Someone from Wales actually posted on Facebook a picture of him like making a bit of a fool out of himself. Here we go. There's a picture of him in a parachute harness at a fairground, holding Union Jacks in his hand, wearing a blue helmet, and it's in Welsh. I'll just read the translation. Ladies and gentlemen, here's who'll be responsible for the future of Wales. Now, in sensing he's just a clown, so you can't trust him. Now, I don't believe that his actual behaviour is a reason to distrust him. Now, it's tempting to sort of like see him as a saviour. And I mean, there's several people on social media saying, "Oh, Boris is the guy. Boris is he's the outsider. He's the wild card. He's our Trump, and he's going to give us Brexit if we elect him." And he's immediately said, he's actually issued a statement saying, he said he's very, very clear. He's very, very. He says, of course, I'm going to run as a Conservative leader. He's tried it before and lost, but he's going to try again. And he's also said very unequivocally that when I'm Prime Minister, he says, and this is paraphrasing, I can't find the exact quote. He says Britain will leave the European Union at least by the 31st of October, with or without a deal. Yeah, good old Boris. He's our man, you see. He's the real Brexiteer. He's the sort of buffoon. He's the lovable rogue, isn't he? He's the guy who doesn't take any nonsense. He's the guy who's not fair. He's not scared to swear at the. He's not scared to swear at the journalists and things like that. So he's our man. He's like, well, is he? There's several reasons to be suspicious of Boris Johnson and what role he might play. He's an elitist. He's attended the Bilderberg Group. He's also a member of a group called the Bullingdon Club. When he was a student here at Oxford University, he studied at Balliol College, I believe. Was it Balliol? I don't know. I'm getting into details now. Hang on. It could be relevant. If it is Balliol, it'll be relevant, actually. His full name is Alexander Bolles de Pfeffel Johnson. De Pfeffel Johnson. Yeah, he was Balliol College, Oxford. I thought so. The fact that he's at Balliol is very interesting because the Bullingdon Club has been accused of killing a tortoise. Now, this is a tortoise, a 150-year-old tortoise called Rosa Luxemburg, who used to be a part, almost like the pet. He used to be the mascot of the college, this tortoise, and used to wander around the place, and the students used to pat it on the shell. Anyway, Rosa Luxemburg went missing, and she's never been seen since. And the bullying, for reasons we're thinking of, the bullying club has probably killed her. They're absolutely infamous in their behaviour. They will have They will have ASBOs, and the ASBOs are wiped out because they're all so rich and powerful. They go out for these. They're essentially a dining club. They go out for meals. The rule of the bullying club is the poorest member of the group has to pay for everything, including the fines when they get in trouble, which they inevitably do because they turn over dustbins and they set fire to cars. If they lived on a council estate, they'd be in the Borstal and then on community service. But of course, because they're rich and elitist Oxford students, that doesn't happen. Oh, how are we? So I don't know what's going to happen now, but the results, of course, are not in yet because the other countries have to vote. It actually takes 3 days to select the members of this useless fraud of a parliament, because it's the entire continent, the entire superstate that has to vote and has to select, and the people have to go to the polls to select these overfed, overpaid people who really, they're not representatives. They don't do anything except they select and they vote on the EU Commission's bills, which is pretty much useless in terms of democratic representation. That's pretty useless because you see how the government manipulates votes in even the Westminster Parliament. There's far more accountability. We have a bicameral system. We have the House of Lords. I know everyone laughs at it, but it's absolutely essential. MPs and Lords could demand bills could be amended. They could overrule the government, which they have done many times. And even so, the government can still get its way. Do you think the EU Commission can't get its way when it comes to its bills in the EU Parliament? So, we'll find out on Sunday night what's going to happen. It'll be Sunday evening, I think, when all the results are in. And actually, at 9 p.m. on Sunday, if you're not doing anything, Caroline Stevens and I are going to do a show. It's not going to be on my channel. It's going to be on hers. Now she used to be on Wake Up UK. She's left Wake Up UK. She's now going independent, and this will be the first show on a new channel. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes because this is something new for her. She's not done this before. Okay, but we're hoping to get her first show out on Sunday evening. I'm helping her actually set it all up. It's going to be on her own channel, which you may not be subscribed to, but you can find it very easily because I will share it. I will share it on my social media. The moment it goes live, I will share it on my social media. So if you follow me on Facebook or Twitter, it's very easy to do. It's Porterhood on Twitter, Ben Emlyn Jones on Facebook. You will see that I will be posting a link to that live show, just like I've done for this one. So that's the situation we're in at the moment. What happens next, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But so I'm now going to go to I hope you haven't posted too many comments, just simply because, as I asked you not to, because I'm just going to go through these. Anthony Morn has said the Earth is flat. All right, Anthony, if I do a flat Earth live stream, will you shut the fuck up? Sorry, pardon me. Will you shut up about it? I'll do a flat Earth live stream, all right, and get all this out in the open. I've looked into it. I actually interviewed Mark Sargent on her Panway Radio. I don't know if you've listened to that show. So I'm willing to address this issue. I don't believe it's true, but I'll talk you through it. We'll go through it. Yeah, where are we? Okay. Where are we going through here? Okay, Lime Specs. Hello, Lime Specs. How are you? I might have to delete a few comments. Rab has already asked me, who did I vote for? I've answered that. I might have to delete some if there's some comments they need. See if there's any comments I missed that are inappropriate or abuse. I will have to just at the end of the thing. I'll just have to end the whole thing. Not end the whole thing. Get rid of the chat, the recorded chat. Israeli de Covera. Church was a Mason. Yes, he was. Okay, Anthony Morn. Yeah. Okay. Diego Rivera says Boris Johnson will be PM. Closely linked to Israel and the Rothschilds. Yep, he's. Like I said, I'm willing to give him a chance, but I'm dubious about Very dubious about Boris indeed. 69 Phuket, hello 69 Phuket, how are you? Change will be bloody. Change often is, unfortunately, because it seems that the government have too much power, the media have too much control over our minds. Very often dialogue breaks down very quickly and violence breaks out. It always happens. Green Sky 70, Britain is at war. This is a wartime situation, actually. I've said before, war, you say that war is, I mean, I've said this on a previous video, that war, we're not at war because no one's getting shot, no one's going around with guns. That's not the definition of war, that's an effect of war. War, by definition, I would say, as von Clausewitz says, is the continuation of politics by other means. When normal politics, that is dialogue and discourse and debate, breaks down. Well, dialogue has broken down, hasn't it? What is dialogue now? Political dialogue in this country, especially over Brexit. Brexiteers are evil. We're racists. We're uneducated white males. We're white van drivers. Things like that. It's not all one way. I mean, there's been some, I think, unfair things said about some of the Ramonas. Not all of them. Some of them actually deserve everything they get, but not all of them. I don't believe my dad is evil. I think he's very, very weak and misguided. Oh, right, I'm going to go forward a little bit further. Emma Jones, hello. Okay, I'm not going to be able to read all these comments. I told you not to. You can always repeat them if you want, but I've told you I can't. I told you to leave them until I finish the lead off. Mr. MT, hello. How are you? Starshine, greetings. Oh, God, we've got more now. Okay. Diego Rivera, you're waiting for the Boris interview with Ben Emlyn Jones. I would be happy to interview Boris anytime if you'd ever come onto my channel. That's absolutely fine. I'd love to talk to him. Right. Hi, Robert Smith. How are you? Fenlander 69, how do you do? I don't care as long as we leave. Fenlander, I'm pretty much a single issue voter now. I think this is the central thing now. It really is the central thing now. But like I said, Brexit is not the end of the New World Order. That's just the start. That's just the first step on the way. Right. Where are you now? Lapid Creed, do you expect me to publish those comments? Okay, we've reached the end now. John K, hi, from the Isle of Man. Hi, John, how are you? Lapin Creed, you are my girlfriend. Who's your girlfriend? Welcome, John. I'm coming over to see you guys. I want to see the. I'm planning a trip there because I want to see where Jeff the Mongoose was. I'll say more. That'll be later in the year. I don't have the money at the moment, but I'm heading over to the Isle of Man at some point. I've got a plan there. But okay, so Boris Johnson, I would absolutely be sure to do that. I will definitely be sure to have him on my show. Charles Declassify. Hello, my God, it's Charles. Charles, oh my God. Hello, Ben. Give your audience a demonstration of how you deal with people using your psychic powers. Put the fear of Charles into them. All right, I will. When two kids are drowning, the dad's got to decide what to do. Does he say one or the other? It's a mean world, it's a cruel world. He's got to make that decision, man. I play golf pros and I slaughter them. Charles still around. Oops. What's happening here? Oh, is my microphone still plugged in? All right. Israel, Diego Rivera, Eugenio, etc. Trump in Iran. Do you mean will Trump attack Iran or do anything like that with Iran? I don't know. It depends. I think there is some opportunities to with Trump. I think Trump is only just discovering now how deep the swamp is and how rancid. And I think he had no idea when he first coined that phrase back in 2016. Absolutely no idea at all. 69 Phuket says, prison speak for I'm a stupid freak. Oh, right, you are. Okay. No worries. Lapin Creed, I think it's time to say goodbye to you, sir. How do I get rid of you? Right, okay. Yeah, I think Lapin Creed's with Team Droid, judging by his or her conduct. Ben, Trump is ramping up the heat on Iran. Yeah, I mean they've got something on him. I said this when there was an attack on Syria. I thought, why is he doing it? Why is the man who said drain the swamp attacking Syria? The answer is, I think the fire at Trump Tower where that guy died. I think they said to him afterwards, "You'll be next," or Melania or Barron. Do as you're told. Kloppite said, if all the politicians took DMT, the world would be a fantastic place to live. Hey, Kloppite, you've been reading Graham Hancock, haven't you? Yeah, I mean, the book Supernatural is incredible. I've been reading this again, actually. I think this is yeah. Here it is. Yeah, I've actually... Have you read that, Kloppite? It's a big, thick book. Supernatural. I'm reading... I'm just a little way into it, but I'm reading it for the third time. I think it's brilliant. I love that book. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, he says that that's really a qualification for government should be to do like a DMT retreat in the Amazon jungle. I think because it changed his life so much. Anyway, hi John K. Yeah, from the Isle of Man, John. Thanks very much. It's great to talk to you. It really is. Hang on, I was looking at the wrong place. I've already read that one, haven't I? Right, Starshine. I enjoyed watching your vid when you were in the Northeast. Pretty cool it was. Thanks, Starshine. Thank you. I had a great fun there, and I love going up there. I love going to see those guys. I'm hoping going back anytime soon. They keep inviting me back to see other people speak, and I did go once when Andrew Johnson was up there, but I haven't been able to go. There's actually they're doing a talk tomorrow, and I won't be able to go because I've got things to do here. I've got to work and things like that. I love your white headband. Yeah, you can see it. One of the reasons I wear a hat all the time is because basically, if you see me without the hat, I'm like there's a big white spot here. It looks like a halo. I look like an angel because of all the lighting effect I use in my little studio come bedroom here. But it's basically because I work outside. I've got quite a deep tan on my face because I work outside a lot, and with the head, you can see the difference with the head. Charles says, and that's how you're gonna deal with your elite. Yeah. Right. Mr. Wonderful, the swamp is global and we are but islands in its midst. That's a very poetic and probably quite accurate way to put it. Trump has bought us some time, and Trump is I think was not, as I said before, I think he's a white hat. He was not meant to be in the country. I'm going to be in London when he arrives to say hello to him if I can. I'll certainly be following him around, supporting him and challenging the protesters and calling him names. And I will be filming it, so there'll be a video about that. Yamoski says, say something about me. Say Ayla. Ayla? Are you that wife without a purpose? Yamoski. Ayla, the wife without a purpose. Is that you? A wife with a purpose? Well, Ayla was also the Stone Age girl in those books, weren't they? There were some books, I can't remember, what were they? Clan of the Cave Bear, and there was some more. I read 3 of them, and they're like, it's about a Stone Age girl called Ayla who grows up and she moves around and things like that. Very good books. Lime Specs, hello, welcome back. Clubwhite says Trump says he loves WikiLeaks, and now Assange is in the nick. Now what? Yeah. Well, Trump is. I did ask. They had Stefan Molyneux had one of Trump's friends in the studio, and they were talking this over. This woman is still a supporter of Trump, but she's frustrated with that he's not taking more action. But Molyneux said there's a limit on how much he can actually say at this position, because he can't exactly say oh, he's going to get Trump out of the nick and he's going to get Assange out of the nick and stuff like that. But what he's saying in private may be very different. But that's the swamp for you. That's how it works. and Trump is trying to work within the system. He's doing the best he can, but God, I don't know. Israel Diego Rivera, did you vote in Eurovision, Ben? No, I don't, because all the songs are all equally crap. I mean, apart from Bucks Fizz, whose name makes a great spoonerism if you think about it. They were the last good thing on Eurovision Song Contest. You know that saying about what they say about the summer solstice. Well, it's not the longest day of the year. Put it that way. West Wickham, hello, West Wickham, hello. We met you, hi Wickham Paranormal. You signed a book for my wife Laurel, and she and us avidly reading. There's no Brexit, sadly. I remember you. Yes, hello. I remember you very well. I can't remember your name, but I did remember you, and I did sign the book for your wife. It was good to meet you. Thanks for coming to the show. I really, really appreciate you coming to the show. Israel Diego Rivera says, Trump and Boris have the same hair. Well, I think they might have done when they went to the hairdressers, but Trump has combed his and Boris hasn't. Where are we now? Yamoski says, can you say Yamoski? Can you say by a mosque, please? Say by a mosque. What does that mean? Is that some word in some language which means I've got an arse for a head or something like that? I don't know. 69 Phuket. Hello, Phuket. How are you? The 22 committee is like spitting image producers, except privileged old Lord Fawn. I don't know much about the 22 committee, except that Theresa May was sort of, what's the word, was preaching to them a while ago. Yamoski too. Hello, Yamoski. Clopite asks, Ben, have you got a shitty blue fleece? No, I haven't, Clopite. You may have noticed in my Newcastle videos that I actually did show you the shitty blue fleece. It was on sale at Richard D. Hall's event, on the Rich Planet stall. But I didn't buy one because, quite frankly, it doesn't actually look good on anyone except Andrew Johnson. But I did get the hat. I've got the Rich Planet hat, which you've seen. Edwardian Lady. Hi, Edwardian Lady. How are you? Thanks for joining us, Edwardian Lady. Great to hear from you again. Mr. Wonderful says, my question as an American is what influence, if any, does the City of London hold or have with the European Commission? Probably it's quite a lot. I mean, the Rich Planet show, if you went on the Rich Planet tour, Richard did like an analysis of this. And he claims that he claims that Brexit comes from an element within the City of London, which is trying to break away from the EU. And there's another element which is controlling the EU. And I don't actually agree with his conclusion over this and his interpretation, but he's absolutely right on one level. Yes, absolutely. These things are connected. The City of London is like where they control the finance of the New World Order. The Rome is where the Vatican City is where they control the religion. The Washington DC is where they control the military and things like that and force. It's basically all three microstates are loaded with satanic symbolism, and I think that says it all. I mean, you know that Washington DC is sometimes called the second largest Masonic temple in the world. The largest is Paris, the Hostman Paris, where they redesigned the whole thing. Diego Rivera says, where is Russell? Pump him up with helium and he'll fly back to his spaceship. Yeah. Yamoski, how old are you? Well, how should I put it? Let's just say life hasn't quite passed me by yet. It's still willing to hang out with me, as Lenny Henry said. Line Specs, have you watched Dickie Hall's new Manchester video? No, I saw it. I was going to watch it and I heard it been banned from YouTube. Oh my God. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I've just found that Secure Team 10 has been demonetized. And poor old Tyler was doing a video like really, really upset about it because it's basically his living. And I couldn't believe it. And he doesn't know why. I mean, there's just like a nonsense. They give you these nonsense explanations. It's all done by bots, but he's appealing against it. I hope he gets it back. But the Manchester video is still available if you go to Richard's website. But I think he's had to put it on his own. He's put it up on his own house platform because YouTube have banned it. But it's bloody good. I mean, I saw it live, you see. I haven't watched it yet because I saw it live on his tour. But I think I'm off the fence now as far as the Manchester bombing is concerned. It's absolutely was not false. It was absolutely a fake event. Absolutely. And YouTube are just banning these things left, right, and centre. It's just awful. It's just awful. But yeah, please do watch it. Please do watch that. I hope Richard. I advise Richard D. Hall, if you're watching, mate, get a BitChute account. Get onto BitChute like I have. Don't put all your eggs in the YouTube basket. None of us can afford to do that now. Get onto Steemit. Get onto BitChute. Get onto Gab. Get onto Minds. John K, if you get in touch if you're coming to the island, that's the Isle of Man. I will, John. Thanks. Email me bennyj74@gmx.co.uk. We'll stay in touch because I like to meet up with people where I travel, because I don't like to go all the way on my own all the time. HQ Com says, "What's on your scalp, Ben?" Skin, and that's it. No hair. Yamoski, you're Ayla. All right, nice to meet you, Ayla. Are you Ayla, the wife with a purpose? Cloppite says, all you need in life is Ben, Richard D. Hall, and Ike. Well, thank you very much, Cloppite, yes. Me for starters, Richard for mains, Ike for dessert. So thanks very much. 69 Phuket says, Little Lord Fauntleroy, tell us what we can't have. You mean little boys that like in the 22 Club, or whatever they're called? Right, so where are we? It just flicks to the bottom every so often, so I can't see where things are. Right. Yamoski says, say Ayla again, please. Ayla. Or Ayla? Is it Ayla? When I read those books about the cave girl, the Stone Age girl, I said Ayla. Some people say, no, it's Ayla. But I know Wife with a Purpose calls it Ayla. She's called Ayla. James Tilly Matthews. Good evening to you, sir. James Tilly says, do you know about Roy Cohn? That name, I heard that. When I hear that name, Roy Cohn. He's that bloody football coach, isn't he? Yeah, Roy Cohn. Oh, no, here we go. Roy Cohn. He was an American lawyer known for bringing Senator Joseph McCarthy's chief counsel during the Army McCarthy hearings in 1954 for assisting with the McCarthy investigators of suspect communists, top political fixture, and for being Donald Trump's mentor and personal lawyer. Oh, right. Well, that must have been long ago. Hang on a minute. Let's have a look. Oh, he died in 1986. He was, but Trump has been active since the 60s, I think, as a businessman. Apparently, he died of AIDS. So he's connected to Trump. Is that why you've asked me? James Tilly. Sorry, James Tilly. I've lost where I am again. Roy Cohn. So I've heard that name, Roy Cohn. Yeah, and I'm thinking where. I mean, I think I was looking into the McCarthy thing and the Hollywood blacklist and things like that. I was looking into that, and I think that might where I heard about Roy Cohn, but maybe because either that or I was looking into the background of Trump, because I've done both. But it's interesting that, yeah. Yamoski, do move, please. I don't know what that means. Little Lord Fauntleroy's made me skinny, says 69 Phuket, and made me scared. Made me worried about my future. Little Lord. That's the 1922 committee. Yeah, I can't remember what they actually said for Theresa May. Starshine, hello. Who felt sorry for Theresa May today? No, I don't feel sorry for her. James Tilly Matthews, are you going to vote in a second referendum? James, I've got no idea right now, because if it ever comes to a second referendum, I will be so annoyed. There'll be a part of me that thinks, no, there's already been a referendum. I've already voted. We've already decided. And to go to vote again in any second referendum is kind of legitimizing something which shouldn't even happen. In fact, that's kind of why I boycotted the European elections, for that reason. Because it's legitimizing something that shouldn't be legitimized. And even by voting within, you are taking part in this. I mean, this is the point I made to my dad. I was debating with him. I said to him, because he voted in the 2016 referendum, he voted to remain. And I says, well, therefore you are endorsing the EU Referendum Act. So you can't vote if you can't vote and then complain you want to change it because you got the wrong answer. Why did you vote at all? Why didn't you boycott it in the first place? So I actually probably will not vote in a second referendum if it ever comes to that, because no, 69 Phuket's not me, says Starshine. I know that Dave Cullen, Computing Forever, he didn't vote in the Lisbon Treaty referendum because he said because he's Irish, he said that it's a scam because there'd already been a referendum on the European Constitution, which the Irish has rejected, and it was obviously a scam to get them to vote again. I mean, Gemma Doherty's talked about this too. 69 Phuket says, little lordless Fauntleroy born on Merseyside, would you believe? Who's that? Not Boris. Yeah, Boris was born in the United States. He's born there. Yamoski, you're nice. Thank you, Yamoski. Or Ayla. Thank you, Ayla. Lime Spec says, I was just talking to Starshine here. Sort of her own fault. Well, you know, in a sense, she's failed abysmally in her duties. Why does she deserve any pity? She's lied. She's backed down when she shouldn't have. When she should have shown a bit of courage, she didn't show it. When, in a sense, if you're put in that position, you're elected for something like that. You know, it's so I don't feel sorry for her. No. Yamos Ayla says, say something about me again. Ayla. Well, you are. I don't know who you are, but you are. If your name's Ayla, then you could be Ayla, wife with a purpose, or you may be another Ayla. I don't know. A lot of girls were called Ayla when those books came out because they were so popular. Steve071 says, RDH's last show kicked off. Yes, it was kicked off YouTube. That's bloody awful, isn't it? And Ayla says, one, I said I play Roblox. Do you? What's Roblox? I don't know what that is. Tories are born privileged and F, says 69 Food. Evil. Tories, you mean like members of the Conservative Party? I think that's not fair. Clopite says, how many politicians actually get arrested if their crimes are revealed? One rule for one for another. Bodies under Sandringham and Balmoral. Clopite, you never. I mean, was Prince Philip arrested for causing injury by dangerous driving? Do you remember my video about him? The crash of the Lizard Prince? Did you see that video? Was he arrested? He was checked over by a doctor. He wasn't really questioned by the police, was he? And there's so many other examples. So many other examples of that. And as for the royal family and their track record, well, I've covered that before, and you're absolutely right. They are above the law. Mr. Wonderful, thanks, sir. James Tilly Matthews says, how close are we to disclosure? Right, well, you're anticipating a video I'm working on at the moment, which I hope to get up in the next few days, because a lot's happened. I mean, while all this EU stuff's been going on over the last few days, and Theresa May backing down, a hell of a lot's happened in the UFO world, and I want to do a video about it, actually. And I think that might be the next video I do, so stay tuned for that. The answer is we may be closer than we were before. I mean, certainly closer. The clock, the disclosure clock that Steve Bassett has talked about, may well have gone further up since last year, where we had the kind of stagnation and things just dragged along. But please do watch my next UFO disclosure video, which probably will be my next upload. Lime Spec says Vimeo, right? I do have an account on Vimeo, but Fenlander 69 says I live near Sandringham. Well, I think you would with your name. It kind of like your name actually made me think that actually. I'm going back again because I've got to go up. Again, I'm a little bit behind with the comments because I think because it keeps flicking to the bottom, and because I've but you know, Fenlander, you'd be interested in my video, the crash of the reptile prince, the lizard prince. Ayla Yamoski says, do you play Roblox and do you watch Poke and Dennis? I don't know what those things are, so no. Lying Spec says, who would be a Scouser? Oh my God, you're going to get into trouble if you go to Liverpool now. James Tilly Matthews says, I live near Waitrose. Oh, there's a Waitrose everywhere, isn't there? TK, hello. They're banning people who talk bollocks. No, TK, they're not. They're banning people who say things which they don't want people to hear. This is what my viewing figures have gone down. I've been algorithmed. And that happened to Secure Team 10. I don't agree with everything Secure Team 10 says. I think he's wrong about a lot, but he has a right to free speech. My algorithm, I've been algorithm, my viewing figures have dropped. I did a whole video about that. West Wickham, Ben, off topic. Have you looked at the mud flood theory? No, I don't know what that is. Charles Declassified. Ben, your thought, please. Read a court case arguing that UK has already left the EU. Well, Charles, I'm glad you take an interest in these sort of things when you're not messing with people's heads. But it's quite relevant, actually, because the government are messing with our heads over it. I've been very interested in this because you remember me singing Jerusalem and stuff like that. Apparently, we did leave the EU then, according to Robin Tilbrook and the English Democrats, because the government never properly amended the Article 50 Act, which meant it was completely wrongful of them to put on an extension. The thing about this, they know that. The EU, the European Council knew that when they allowed them an extension. None of them vetoed it. And the government are lying about it, and the media are hardly even mentioning it. But Tilbrook, I've been following on his mailing list. He thinks we're in with a good chance. The thing about it is, it doesn't matter what the ruling is. The government are still going to double down, right? They really will. But I really, really think this is a great thing. And that's another reason not to vote in the referendum. Not the referendum, in the EU elections. That's another reason not to vote there. Don't mess with Liverpool, says Fouquet. The TK says that like videos that claim the International Space Station isn't real. Should such videos be banned? No, they shouldn't. I'm going to do a video about the flat Earth. I'm going to do it's going to be a live stream about the flat Earth, just because of popular request. I do not think these things should be banned at all. No, at all. I mean, apart from like actual criminal things such as threats and incitements to actual threats of violence, things like that. I mean, I'm a free speech absolutist. As Diego Rivera says, have you ever had an encounter with an alien, Ben? Like like a real being? Not to my knowledge. But I got like this mark on my arm. I don't know. I've seen things in the sky, as I've explained. Anonymous person says, you're so fucking fat, lol, you should kill yourself. All right, time to ban this person who he doesn't even give their name. Put user on. Okay. Actually, I think you can actually hide. I'll hide this person, actually. Hide user on this channel. Right, there we go. So, right, good. Got rid of that one. I'll do the same to the other person who I put on. I've actually put them on a timeout, which will expire soon. How are we now? James Tilley says, Charles Declassified, it's good to know there's a real Illuminati muscle on screen. Yeah. Charles I think he's never going to live down his infamy, is he? He's always going to have that. And very much of it is my fault. Mr. Wonderful says, it's dinner time for me, must go, but thank you for the interaction, of course, the information. Death to tyranny. Enjoy your meal, Mr. Wonderful. And thanks for posting. Thanks for posting comments. TK, are such videos just harmless fun? Do you mean like Flat Earth ISS doesn't exist? Do you mean that person? Yes. I can't see any harm in them. I think they're wrong. But the solution is, if there's any harm they can do, it just comes from people believing them and maybe getting misled. Within the alternative thought, that can be a risk. It's like it could lead people into confusion and possibly being drawn back into the mainstream. That's the only threat I think the Flat Earth fake ISS videos pose. And the answer is not to censor them, not to ban them. The answer is to explain why they're wrong. That is the answer. Expose them to the light of logic. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And all these damn cliches, but it's true. Lime Specs, Roy Castle, Lime Specs. Roy Castle was a presenter. I remember when I was a kid. How do you spell it? You're writing it here, ISLA, I-S, I-LA. I don't know what you mean, sorry. Armand Adams, hello. Great you're on, Armand. I know you sometimes miss the live streams. Welcome. Mr. Wonderful, the wife's calling. Okay, she's got your dinner ready, mate. Go along. If you've been well looked after, then you should be grateful. James, yes, Trump's lawyer. Yeah, I just googled him after you mentioned his name. Yep, I'm not. I don't know much more about him except hearing his name, either through these areas of studies of mine. Charles declassified. Tilly Matthews, the originator of the ideas of a mind control machine and grey aliens abducting people. Yeah. Grey aliens are real, though, I reckon. Neil Desperandum. Hello, Neil. Welcome. The Manchester bombing actually happened. My girlfriend's friend lost her son, Liam. Are you denying the explosion actually happened, or just that it was an Islamic terror event? Okay, well, Neil, I'm sorry if I've made a mistake, and of course, deepest condolences to your girlfriend's loss. Could you please, I think I mentioned this to you before, could you please contact Richard D. Hall and tell him? Because he needs to know about this. Okay. I'm certainly not denying, if that actually happened, I'm certainly not denying it. And if I've made a mistake, I'm sorry. It's just what I saw on Richard's tour was pretty convincing. So if I'm wrong, then Richard is wrong. He needs to know. So please tell him. Right, Mr. Wonderful is still here. Okay, last one. Roy Cohen showed President Trump around the ends and outs of New York City politics when Trump first started in and out in building. Well, that's interesting, Mr. Wonderful. By the way, she's calling you now. It's getting cold. Go on, off you go. I wish I had a lovely lady to look after me like that. You know, I'm not having a go. Honestly, I'm not taking the mickey. I'm a very lucky man. TK, like Jeremy Kyle has been banned, hasn't he? You know, TK, I don't feel any sympathy for Jeremy Kyle, but really, I wouldn't advocate for him being banned. I despise his show. I think it's horrible. It's a horrible kind of reality TV where they bring in the most vulnerable and dysfunctional people they can and poke fun at them. I don't like that. I think the tragedy that happened was bound to happen sooner or later. They were just waiting for it to happen. And to quote Jeremy himself, why don't you get off your backside and get a job? So Jeremy's going to have to do that now, isn't he? James T. Matthews, power to your elbow, yeah. Mr. Wonderful, Roy's a vehement anti-communist. Do you mean this guy, this lawyer? Yes, I was actually looking into this because I'm actually got an idea for a new book, and it's going to be centered around espionage. That's all I'll say right now. But I've been looking up on the McCarthy hearings and things like that, and on the Cambridge spies. I've been doing that for a few months now, actually. I've been reading. In fact, I was including a little bit of this. I was going to include some of this in my Roswell trilogy, but I'm actually continuing the research because I'm going to include some of the themes I left out of the Roswell trilogy in this new book that's coming out. When I've written it, you know what it's like when you're writing books. I haven't even written any of it yet. I'm just making notes. Research Roy Kerr, very interesting character. I will, James. Thank you. Ayla, I don't know. I don't play a lot of games. No, I play a couple. And Lime Specs, you're not sold on the theory either. Well, you know, Lime Specs, after what Neil said, I'm not now, but I was when I saw Richard on tour. So Neil, I would recommend, please do get in touch with Richard because he needs to know this. Because he'll probably want to interview you. He'll probably want to speak to you. No, he really will. Slade Diacu. Hello, that's an interesting name. Do you play Fortnite? I only play one. I play Dangerous Waters, which is like a naval combat simulation, which I do occasionally, and it's an old one, an old primitive one. I play a couple of sub-sim games like Silent Hunter. But I got annoyed with, I don't know if you know this, right, but Silent Hunter have been forced to change everything because they put the submarines were flying the Nazi naval pennant, which was historically accurate, but had a swastika on it. And so for that reason, you go to the latest event, especially the Silent Hunter 7, which is the latest one, and the submarines, their flag, it's like it's the German Imperial Cross, which is completely inaccurate. It's completely inaccurate historically. But they're so overreacting now to this that even using the swastika symbol, even just saying that word, I mean, I'm not monetized, but I'll probably get algorithms just for saying the word. just even mentioning it or showing it for historical purposes is now verboten. And you get like branded a racist. It's awful. So that game, you play that game now, it's historically inaccurate because they're flying and the flag's the wrong flag on the submarines. Phuket, God got bees on cars, slave bees. Bees on cars. Real bees. Hi, Villanora. Hello. Charles Declassified says Illustrations of Madness by John Holsom, 1810, I believe. I don't know that one. Hi, Brian Clare. Hello. Welcome, Brian. Please do check out Brian. He's a hero, is Brian. James Tilley says, understand Roy Cohn, you'll understand Trump's mob and the elite connection. Right you are, James. I'll look into that. I really will. However, Cohn did die of AIDS in 1986. He was born 1927, so he was quite old. So obviously he's not Trump's lawyer at the moment and hasn't been for quite a long time, certainly during his presidential run. Funnily enough, it was around about that time, 1986, when Cohn died, that I think Trump he started announcing he was going to run for president. In fact, he mentioned it he was on Oprah Winfrey show, and he mentioned it there, and you can see it on YouTube. And I think that's from sometime in the mid-1980s. So he's had this idea about becoming president for quite a long time before he actually did it. Yamaski Ayla says, how made the world gog? Or sorry, I don't know what that means. Brian, I'm not voting in the EU elections as it shows I support Europe, which I don't. Brian, that's kind of why I didn't vote. And to be honest, it wasn't an easy decision to make because I could understand both points of view. I mean, Caroline was absolutely convinced. There was no doubt in her mind. There was doubt in my mind. And I still don't know for certain whether it is the right thing to do. And as I said, it was but I had not voted, and I stand by that. Bees work hard. See a bee sticker, work harder. Well, 69 Phuket, that's the symbol of Manchester, isn't it, the bee? The busy bee. James Tilley Matthew says, Mr. Charles, the world's first persecuted individual alien chanter. Who's that? Is that Cohn? Oh, John Holsom. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, God. It's gone down to the bottom again. Hang on. Here we go. Well, there's a lot of questions. I've got 51 people watching. I think this is some pretty... Oh, there's a massive amount of material here. Oh, my God. I don't know if I'll be able to get through all these. I'll try and get through these questions, but... Oh, we're going right back up to... Here we go. Right. I've got to find out where I left it. See, when it flicks to the bottom, I have to find out where I left it. Diego Rivera, when will D Hall release his 20-hour DVD on the English Bigfoot? As far as I know, he's not covered that subject. Charles, oh, yeah, a study of schizophrenia. John Holsom. I have to look him up, Charles. Yeah, I've never heard of him. Vrillon, yes. Richard was lost a YouTube video. And as I said, it was bound to happen sooner or later, but I think he needs to get a BitChute account. He needs to get off. I mean, you can still watch it, but he's had to upload it somewhere else. I think he's got like a house. He's got a house platform, I think, on his website. Mel O'Brien, hello, Mel. Candidate list 25 inches long in Cork South and not one anti-EU candidate, so I didn't bother to vote. I haven't voted since Lisbon Treaty 2. My vote means nothing to these criminals. Of course, Mel, I mean, that's the thing. Until before 2016, I would have said just don't vote at all, don't take part. Since then, I think it's worth voting, but obviously if there's no decent candidate, don't vote. But if you can vote for Jemma Doherty, please do. Vote for Jemma Doherty. It's the local elections, I believe, in Ireland coming up. Please do vote for Jemma Doherty because she's a wonderful person. She's a true freedom fighter. Alban Adams. Sub and smash the bell. Thank you. Teeman C. Okong says, today is my birthday. Happy birthday, Teeman. Yeah, Charles is talking about 19th century fiction. All right, I've read Charles Dickens and I've read Sherlock Holmes. I've read Jules Verne. But I'm not a. So I do like reading. So interesting that. 50 Fenlander 69 says 69 Phuket, maybe near disclosure of his kids near Sandringham. Well, I don't know what that means, but Mel O'Brien, who has brought the Richard D. Hall video to counter YouTube censorship. Well done, Mel. As you know from my video, I bought Richard's DVD, which I haven't watched yet. I haven't had time to watch yet. Clockbite. May resigning could be masking other news. Most big political events mask other news, crimes by the elite, etc. Well, you know, I think so, Clockbite, too. And in fact, it's almost worth looking on page 12 or something when there's something suddenly captures the front page. Do you remember, like, when there was all that stuff about Prince Andrew? Do you remember that scandal over Prince Andrew to do with kids? And what happened? Suddenly, the front page is covering what? Harry and William falling out. What do you reckon of that, eh? Or the possibility, oh yeah, was it William having an affair with Mrs. What's her name, lady, double-barreled, what's thingy? I can't even remember her name. Some posh bird. But he had an affair with her, William. Oh God. That I think was used to bury the news about Prince Andrew. Right. We got Temansi Okong is actually saying something here in a foreign language, so I can't understand that. B is yet symbol of Manchester. Vrillon, we left on 29, says Vrillon. Yes, we did. Unlawful extension, precisely. And Charles says, oh, stop watching you, Ben. Names, addresses, things that freak them out now. Well, thanks, Charles. And I mustn't make you sound like Steve Mumbling when I do your voice. You sort of do deal with them, man. Do them. Use your mind control on them. Make them resub. But it's actually not their fault. It's actually the thing about the way the algorithms work, or the new algorithms, is they don't actually ban you. It's a form of shadow banning. But they don't actually stop your videos. What they do is they don't even limit your videos. What they do is they stop recommending them as much as they used to. This means, of course, if you sub to me, you'll see my videos and things like that. And if you have an interest in the sort of subjects I talk about and you search for them, you'll come across my videos. What you won't find, like, for instance, if you Google royal family on YouTube, you'll get all the official mainstream news and information and documentaries about the royal family, but you won't get my you're much less likely to get my crash of the lizard prince video. That's how the algorithms work. The 1984 memory hole, says James Tilley. Yeah. Oh, it's funnily enough, you know, they're trying to make more people use Kindle, and I know that books get edited when you have them on Kindle, and believe they could be deleted as well. And they're trying to ban books in schools by saying that the glue they use to put the perfect binding on them is poisonous. But that's an excuse to get rid of old books, because old books are very interesting. I think Corey Good should be banned. No, I don't think he should be banned. I don't agree with everything he says. I don't think there are blue chickens running the universe, but or living in Antarctica. But I do think he should be allowed to say what he does. Some of the things he says are valid, definitely. All right. What's happened here? Charles and James are talking about 19th century literature again, which is interesting. But it's a conversation between them, so I won't read their stuff out. But TK says, I think the videos that claim things like the ISS is not real are dangerous. TK, I don't think that they are problematic, to use that word, because they could lead people to be misled. But dangerous, I think, is too strong a word, especially when in a world of universal free speech, it's very easy to dismiss what they're saying logically. And I think the solution is to dismiss what they say logically. This is why, you know, I will. You've been asking for it. You're going to get it. I'm going to do a flat Earth live stream. Okay, at some point soon I'll do a flat Earth live stream. I'm not a flat earther. I'm a globalist. I'm a globe head, a round head, but I'm going to cover it just for that reason. Denise Moore. Hello, Denise. How are you? A little late, not to worry, but thanks for joining us, Denise. Tink123. Hello, Tink. How are you? What do you make of Madonna's satanic Eurovision performance and UK coming last? Then Theresa May. Wow, that's interesting, Tink, because I I've not actually seen it, but someone was posting stuff about Madonna at the Eurovisions. And it's in Israel this year as well, which means Israel are hosting it. And Israel, of course, in the Holy Land, has always been important symbolically to the Illuminati, which is why you have Zionism and things like that. I've not seen it, but I'll watch it now. And UK coming last. Of course, whenever a country comes last, right, Turkey usually comes last, don't they? And Ireland usually wins. That's, you always know what's going to happen. Ireland wins, Turkey comes last. The UK's come last a couple of times. And the last time, I remember the UK came last, I think, in 2003. And everyone said, oh, it's punishment for the Iraq war. And my answer was no, it was just a crappy song. And it was. They couldn't even sing in tune. They got the key wrong and everything. It was an awful tune. And that's why they lost. That's why most people lost. The problem with the Eurovision is because I haven't heard a good song on there since I was a kid. And the problem is, it's a race to the bottom in an entire tournament of awful music. How do you select the worst ones and the least worst ones? Tink said, all right, Klopp. But as for the connection to Theresa May, I'm not sure. Punished over Brexit. You see, I don't. Yeah, it's unlikely. I think it's just me. I haven't heard the song, but on the reaction to the song. But we'll see. We'll see. Tink, thanks anyway. Klopp says most Americans on YouTube are as crazy as a box of frogs. I struggle to watch them. Very painful. Well, I don't know if there's a filter you could put on your settings to eliminate American videos, but it's best not to watch them. I think there's some good Americans. There's I actually liked Alex Jones before they banned him. I still follow Alex Jones. There's a couple of other Americans I'm always keen on. James T. Matthews. All right. 69 Food Kids. Education is a good thing. Well, it is if you get good exercise, but schools are a bad thing. Yeah. TK says, could lead people to take up arms and go into a cinema and shoot everyone? TK, could believing the ISS is fake really do that? And if it could, would banning, if believing the ISS is fake could cause people to go into a cinema and shoot people, right? Would banning the videos make things better? Would it actually help prevent those kinds of crimes? Because I don't think it would. In a sense, you could see that some of the people who do carry out these crimes are inspired by banned videos and banned material. I mean, the guy who did the shooting in New Zealand a few weeks ago, he was very much. You read the stuff he wrote, his manifesto. It's the usual talking points of the alt-right, and the alt-right is being eliminated from social media bit by bit. It didn't stop him doing that shooting. In fact, it may have reinforced his ideas that this was an anti-establishment position. Whereas if he'd been argued with and debated with by people who disagreed, it may have talked him down. Charles says, it's entirely your fault, Ben. If you hadn't put on that dress, nothing like this would have happened. Don't talk crap, Charles. Admit it. You like wearing that dress, don't you? You love it. It makes you feel really good. Making us into slaves to a system we never agreed to. Yeah. Right, James Tilly Matthews is talking about Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan. Now, a lot of people talked about this. Hobbes was the guy. He was the kind of he was a sort of social Darwinist who talked about. I mean, again, maybe this has been misrepresented, but he said life was nasty, brutish, and short, red in tooth and claw. He was actually challenging Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who was a philosopher who lived a century before him, who talks about the noble savage and things like that. But is that a misrepresentation of Hobbes? Because that's the quote you always hear from him. I don't know much more about that than that particular quote. I saw a documentary about overpopulation once, because I did a couple of videos on overpopulation, if you saw them. And there was all sort of references to Hobbes and Rousseau and the people who've been talking about them. Tink123 says, what do you make of Tom Hanks' sick, bizarre Instagram account? There are bizarre scenes. The death of Isaac Cappy this week, who outed him as a elite pedo and died on Route 66. I've not heard about that. Someone's mentioned it, but I haven't looked into it yet, Tink. Sorry. Charles says, people are underaware that the image of the alien grey was a popular trope in 19th century fiction. Was it? I mean, I know that Aleister Crowley has drawn pictures of grey aliens. He's encountered them. Right. Starshine. Where are we? Phuket. We have Saunales Elite. Saunales Elite. Michael Heseltine said he would vote Liberal, and then there should be a second referendum because lots of Leave voters have died of old age. Is that a psychopathic attitude? Totally. And it's what I'd expect from Heseltine. Michael Heseltine was a pro-EU conservative politician. He actually was part of the team that got rid of Margaret Thatcher in the 80s because they used to call them wet Tories in those days. But basically, he was a Europhile Tory along with several other people, including Kenneth Clarke, who's still active in politics today. Heseltine was in the Bilderberg group. He was in the I think he was in the Council of Foreign Relations or the Royal Institute of International Affairs. He was very well connected, very powerful individual. And I really despise that when they say this about Leave voters dying of old age. Unfortunately, I've heard Ramona say that. My dad hasn't gone quite that far yet as to say those words. If he did, I don't know what I'd do. But that is an awful thing to say because these are people very often who for better or worse, whatever your opinions politically, believed they were fighting for their country in the war, in the World War II. A lot of these people sacrificed enormously and risked their lives for what they believed was a noble cause. I doubt if any of these Ramonas would do that. I doubt if they'd have the guts to do that. They don't have the guts to do that because they're doing this very cowardly, underhand and backstabbing thing through the political process by trying to undermine the normal political process. It's not just the government doing that. It's these nasty little spiteful, useful idiots in the Ramona camp. And we know there's at least 6 million of them because they've been signing these damn petitions. 4 million signed the first one, 6 million the second. They are the unknowing shock troops of the Illuminati. And I despise them. And it's scary to be hated by so many people and to have people who are so short-sighted and narrow-minded. And when they say things like that, and I'm not surprised Heseltine said that because that rat would, because he has a psychopathic attitude. I've heard Ramona saying it as well. Since 2016, probably enough of them have died off now. It doesn't count anymore. Oh, it makes me furious. It really does. It's an incredibly disrespectful and undignified way to talk about people. Ahmed Adams says real bomb different. All right. You're talking about Manchester? Oh, the bee thing. Yeah, bee slaves. Yeah. Obviously, as what Neil Desperandum says, I think changes an awful lot. And I do hope, Neil, again, please do contact Richard D. Hall. You need to talk to him. You really do. James T. Matthews. Yeah. Starshine. Caroline Williams. All right. So Starshine, you know about this too. Oh, Starshine, are you're a friend of Liam's mother? Okay. But I would say Starshine, you and Neil should get together and you should approach Richard D. Hall and speak to him, because if this is false information, it sounds very persuasive. But obviously, if it's false, that has to come out. It has to be. You need to contact him because he is actually going around talking about this now. Diego Rivera says, what is the diet of the English Bigfoot, Ben? Have you found English Bigfoot feces? You've got to come back to the English Bigfoot, haven't you? It eats. It's probably omnivorous. If it's, it depends. Like primates, like gorillas. Gorillas, I know, are vegetarian. They eat leaves and things like that. Other primates are omnivorous. We humans are omnivorous. That means we can eat almost anything. I mean, humans, we can't we? Animals, vegetables, we can eat almost anything. I don't know what it eats. Probably eats plants. Probably the kind of stuff if you're in the Scouts or something, they teach you how to catch fish and dig stuff up you can eat, and which is the healthy things to eat in nature and which you can't. It probably eats those. Armand Adams, I can't stand television either. James T. Matthews, Mr. Charles feels like a hangover from the counter. Liam and Chloe, they would. I'm very sorry to hear that, Neil, about what happened. And Richard's actually put out an appeal for people like you and Starshine and anyone who is Starshine and Neil, because you're your partner. He's put out an appeal for you to contact him, so please do so. It's Charles. Thanks, Jim. Before I was Charles, thanks to Ben, I was very wrapped up in the whole truth scene. It was when I traced it back to the delusions of Matthews that I woke up. Which Matthews is this? Oh, right. Bill O'Brien's. There are no grey aliens. What we see is not what they are. We've been deceived. Remember the Wizard of Oz? We haven't seen behind the curtain. Well, I mean, Mel, obviously, grey aliens are what people perceive. They have some kind of objective reality because they've been seen since ancient times. So if they have a policy of disguising their true selves, then it's obviously a universal and perennial policy. But then you could say that about anything. I mean, that I think is certainly the case with the reptilians because they appear in human form. Prince Philip is not human, but he appears human to us. Neil Desbrandon, why doesn't Richard Hall speak directly to the parents? Well, Neil, he did put out an appeal. I mean, I don't know if he actually approached them actively. He put out an appeal for them to talk to him. Yes, he should. He should certainly contact them, definitely. And if you contact him, that'll be very helpful. As I've said, all right, I play games on my Amiga 1200. Right, you have a game. Seems everyone plays computer games apart from me. I mean, I do play computer games, but not very often. That's all. Not as often as other people do. Mel O'Brien, why should we believe Starshine? Well, Mel, you will find you will believe them if what they're saying is true. We've got no reason to think they're lying. Okay, watch Richard's channel. I'm sure it'll come up on there. Matthew Lee, hi, hello Matthew, welcome, a new person. Take it, algorithmed. Yeah, I came up with that, TK, that word. It may well catch on, actually. Someone else may well have coined it. But I came up with it when I was watching the Secure Team 10 video where Tyler was saying how he'd been demonetized. He is appealing against it. He thinks it's a mistake. But it probably is, actually. But these things can take like a whole month to be processed. And they'll eventually monetize his video. But they won't give him any back pay, even if it's their mistake. They won't. He'd have to sue YouTube for loss of earnings. Oh, I see, Charles. Right. Greys are an invention. A machine to control the mind. I'll look into that, you know. But, I mean, greys, I don't believe are an invention because they come from many different sources. But it's interesting you put that because I was just saying, Alistair Crowley. How's grey? 69 Phuket. Distract with sub for sex. I don't know what that means. Okay, I'm going back a bit. I've gone to the bottom again. Where are we? Right, where are we? Good goodness, mate. You know, I'm not going to get through all these comments. I don't think I will. Oh, man. Okay. Bad subway, says 16 in Phuket. Well, it may not be a bad subway. It may just, you might have had the sliced meatballs. They're not very nice. Have the cheese and have the cheese with the little olives next time. Starshine. Starshine, I don't disbelieve you. I don't. I've got no reason to disbelieve you. Richard has made mistakes before, and I've talked about those mistakes. And hopefully he will admit he's wrong, and there'll be an update from him. Hi, Ben. You're from Indonesia. Oh, thanks, T-Man. Well, thanks for joining us from all that way. I don't know what time it is when you are. It must be quite early in the morning, I'm guessing. And Starshine is okay. Come on, catch up. God help us who start on that wine under the bed. Well, 69 Phuket. Do you mean my disclosure champagne? Because you know when I'm going to pop that cork, don't you? There's only one situation when I'll be drinking that. Neil, I agree. He needs to speak to the parents. I've watched the presentation and it was very persuasive. And as I said, it got me off the fence. But if you, after what you said, obviously I will reconsider. But I think it is a very much a there's updates needed on this. And Starshine, I'm sorry about her husband dying as well. That's really bad. I'm sorry about that. James, you like the Illuminatus trilogy too, do you? Oh, thanks. John Titor, you liked. You're interested in John Titor, Matheny. Was John Titor a fictional character then? Because I know he made a lot of predictions which never came true. Oh, where are we? Mel says the parents wouldn't speak to Hall. We'll contact him about. Okay. Oh, you'll do it, Mel. Okay. He will want to speak to them, though. I mean, Mel, you can contact Richard about it, but you will have to. Obviously, Richard and Starshine and Neil will need to talk to him directly, I think. But that's very helpful, Mel. Thanks. Brian Clare says Caroline Stevens. Caroline Stevens is a good. Yeah, she's a good friend of mine. Please keep an eye. It'll be about 9 p.m. on Sunday. There's going to be a show on Caroline's new channel. Unfortunately, she has no way to promote it because, well, except through her own channel. But if you subscribe to Wake Up UK, you won't find it there because she's left that channel. I'm sorry, Starshine, I really am. I'm sorry to hear that. There we go. I'm Neil, that's awful. I'm really sorry. It needs to be sorted out, like I said. Alimat Atkin from Germany. Hello, Alimat. How are you? Brian Clare says, have you read the book Was God an Astronaut? What do you think? Very interesting. That was Eric von Daniken. I read that when I was a kid, actually, and it's sort of maybe it's what made me maybe into the tinfoil hat wearing stentorian lunatic you see before you today. It certainly set me on the way, I think. Yeah, the Prince Andrew stuff that's still going on, isn't it? But it's been buried by this bullshit about Prince William. Search Matumbo on YouTube. Hello, Suka Baludo. All right, so Charles says there's something going on with the abduction phenomenon. The alien grey reptilian characters are entirely fictitious. All right, based on 19th century sci-fi. All right. Oh, I'll look into that. Thanks. Videos from the underground. Hello, goodbye, Theresa May. Yes, good riddance to her. I hope they put her in an old folks' home. She could rot in there, just like her government has done to so many other old people. So, like I said, I don't feel sorry for her. Where are I? James says, I'm saying disclosure will only occur if Boris Bouncy Balls Johnson becomes PM. Well, you know, James, if I'm wrong about what I said about him and he is Britain's Donald Trump, yeah, I think, yeah, that will certainly be quite something. If I'm wrong about him, the Bullingdon Club stuff that I talked about, if that's not true, and he really is a good guy, he really is a white hat like Trump, then yes. Neil, yeah, I mean, you don't know if it was done by who they say or whether it's somebody else, whether it was a false flag. The bombing in Manchester, yeah, I mean, Richard's thesis is that it didn't happen at all. And it was a completely fabricated event. Based on what you've said and Sunshine has said, obviously that may not be the case now. And indeed, if what you're saying is right, then it is not the case. And I've got no reason to disbelieve you. So I'm going to say to you, clear it up. Like I said, let's clear it up. Charles, so what's the deal with you and Steve mumbling? Well, Steve and I'm not actually really had much to do with Steve. I sometimes look at his channel, especially when I have a few drinks, and I can't resist it. I sometimes leave comments on there but he's doing what he always has done, Steve. He's watching my videos, going on about them, and posting what he thinks are effective rebuttals to the points I made, which he doesn't. He fails to do that totally. But he is like an online debunker, and that's what he likes to do. See, and I mean, I probably won't make any more videos in reply to him because it's just. What does it achieve? I mean, it's. I think I've made the points I need to make to him for the sake of other people watching. I'm never going to persuade him to change his mind, am I? Always fans. But I think the people I'm making it for are you, the viewers. As I was saying before about the International Space Station, you know, I want to take on the people who don't agree. I want to take on the people I think I've made mistakes. James Tilley says Steve Mumbling is one of the Truth Movement's most admirable moustaches. He certainly has got quite a broom's head there, isn't he? He really has. You could sweep the streets with his face, couldn't you? You really could. You could get down his hands and knees and go like that, clear up the leaves. James Corey is a charlatan. I have solid proof in my upcoming book, The Hidden Enemy. Mel, are you writing a book? Well, good for you. Keep me posted on that because I'd like to know more. Vril, on the 5G thing is just awful. We'll be covering that on Caroline's show. Clockbite's asking, what happened to the Pie and Mash Films bloke? You mean Bill Maloney? I've not heard from him for a long time, and I hope he's all right because he's a damaged guy, and he's trying to do what he can for the children today. Joan Gwynme says we need a new Hitler in Europe. Oh, really? What was somebody who's descended from the Rothschilds and supported by the bankers? Oh, right. I know Hitler's. You see, the thing about Hitler is, I know he's not quite the demonic monster that he's been portrayed as in the mainstream, but at the same time, he's not the savior that so many other people in the alternative world think he is either. He's neither. He's not a Trump. He's not a whatever. He's not. TK says, can somebody explain to me what the Truth Movement is? Now, that's how long is a piece of string, TK? It is basically, it's a word we use for people like myself who are interested in the kind of things I talk about on my channel. That's really all you can say in a single sentence. That's what the Truth Movement is. And you could say, well, it's a piece of propaganda, it's hyperbole, it's rhetoric to call it the Truth Movement. And I know that within the Truth Movement, there's a lot of untruth. Look at my video about Larry Warren. But it's a word like Brexit and these other things. It's a term that will stick. It's a term that I think we are lumbered with now. And it'll always be known that way. Armand Adams says Ireland always wins because all their songs are depressing and morbid. Nah, actually, there was one that was not bad when I was, I think, what was it called? I can't remember the people who did it, but it was actually quite nice. For Eurovision anyway, it's all right. Fernanda says, would like to believe in stuff, but there's never any proof, just hearsay, really. Well, there is in some cases, Fernanda, and I do try to present some of that proof. I really do. Joan Gwynme says too much immigration in Europe. Yes, and it's being done deliberately. It's not something that's being allowed to happen. It's something that's being made to happen. And I've done entire videos about that. Phuket says E by gum in Manchester. That's Yorkshire where they say that, I think. Had to support a good moustache, says Charles. Well, we don't know if Charles has a moustache or not because he always has his back to us, doesn't he? Joan, I live in Europe and like living in an African ghetto. Well, Joan, it's a lot of people leaving these areas. I mean, I know that parts of London now, people are just leaving because the whole areas are just full of people, foreign people, and they don't feel comfortable being around these foreigners, people from very different cultures and religions and ways of life, and they feel they don't have anything in common. They feel lonely, so they move to other areas where there's more white people or more native British people, and that's the reason that's been done. It's not something that's is in a sense. I mean, there's lots of. I've talked about this before. The reason it's being done is all part of the drive for the New World Order, and part of that is putting people together, making them incompatible, generating conflict, maybe a civil war, and also making people feel confused about who they are in terms of their own nationalities. That's all. It's a two prongs of this New World Order agenda. Don't get angry with the Africans in the African ghetto. There's no point. You know, they as individuals are not doing anything wrong. I mean, to be honest, if I was in their position and I could have a better life somewhere else, I'd want to move as well. The solution comes from exposing the agenda that put them there in the first place. And the people who did it, they're not in Africa. They're here, right here in Europe. James Tilley Matthews says, All right. Diamond Cone, hello. Neil says, not everything is a sinister conspiracy. Absolutely not, Neil Desbrandum. There's a lot of things. There are conspiracy theories I don't believe in. As I said, the aforementioned flat Earth. I think the International Space Station is real. I think the films, from what I can see, from what I've seen, the films made up there are real. Although, as I said, I'm willing to look at videos which claim that the ISS movies are fake. Israel Diego Rivera. Boris Johnson thinks he's Winston Churchill. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Where are we now? Okay. I'm gonna have to skip. I'm afraid I have to skip a few of these comments. I'm sorry. TK, I don't have any answers either. Not necessarily. Joan McGuinn says we need guns for control of immigration. No, we don't. There's no need. I mean, I'm in favour of. I'm against gun control. I mean, if I was American, you'd call me a Second Amendment fundamentalist. If I lived in America, I'd get myself a gun. But we don't need. Immigration can be controlled non-violently if you expose why it's happening and how it's happening. It's not like Camp of the Saints. It's far more deeper. And it's a far bigger. It's actually a bigger problem than it's portrayed in that book. TK Kenlander, make me PM, Kenlander. If you give me a manifesto, mate. Where are we now? Okay, what's the time? 10 to 11. I've been going for nearly 2 hours. Bell O'Brien says, if you're a friend of Eurovision, I wouldn't know. I'm a professional musician and I don't watch that shit. People who are proper musicians tend not to, yeah. James C. Matthews says, Leviathan and the semiotics of literary representation of statehood. I've not read his book. I've not read the book. I know that's Hobbes's masterpiece. I've not read it. Like I said, I learned about Hobbes from my research into overpopulation and Malthusianism and things like that. Malthusian biology and things like that. You may want to watch my videos. This is years ago I made those videos. They're really old. Vrillon Aura, Capel Green is a bit like Brexit, isn't it? It keeps getting delayed. But, not for the reasons they're delaying Brexit. They keep delaying Brexit because they're trying to stop it. The film Capel Green keeps being delayed because they're adding more and more to it. It's going to be a better movie. And I'm sorry it's been delayed again. But honestly, it'd be worth waiting for. It really will. Right, Charles says, Crowley stole the images from H.G. Wells' Man of the Year of the Million. Right. I didn't know that, Charles. I've read The Time Machine. That's the only H.G. Wells book I've ever read. But thanks for the information. That's interesting to know. I am Charles, Assassins of the Elite, yeah. Where are we now? Diego Rivera says, Huxley, that's Thomas Huxley, holds a human skull. When I see it, I think he should be holding an alien skull. I've not seen that. I know that you should see Maria Wheatley's her work on skulls, on the Paraka skulls and things like that. Get dignified, Ben, says 69 Phuket. Pride and dignity. Where are we now? James Tilly Matthews says, I intend to revoke Remain. Oh, God. I believe it's the only way we can free my shopping experience from the tyranny of the working classes. This is coming from a man who lives next door to Waitrose. Well, forgive me, but I think your viewpoint is slightly distorted. If you're going to vote Remain, obviously I think you're making a big mistake. Armand Adams, cryptids in the UK is mostly big black dogs. Yeah, I don't think they're cryptids. I think there's some kind of paranormal thing. There's like Black Shuck and Maury Doo and these sort of things. 69 Phuket, it's my bagpuss. TK says he's watched the channel Simon Dan. I don't know that one. Where are we now? Oops, what's happened? It's gone to the bottom again. Oh, blimey. Oh, where are we now? Oh, dear. Okay, I'm back to where I was. Just trying to find when I got to. There's still 50. It's 54 people watching now. It's still going. I'll vote for anyone, says James Tilly Matthews, who enforces ID cards from the unemployed. James, what are you saying? Don't be a fool. Just watch my video about the job centres. You don't want that, honestly, because James, you'll be on that register soon too. This is the reintroduction of slavery. This is about putting people onto a register to control their economic activity. It's slavery. Diego Rivera says, if aliens land on the Earth, would they have to pay tax or for parking fines? It depends where they left their sources. DJ Butu, aliens will be taxed for every abduction. That's the only thing that would stop them, I think. 69 fruit. All right. Fenland at 69. We all have 6 fingers and toes in the fens. We are aliens. I think that's got more to do with you country folk and your marital habits. Tina Silva. Hello, Tina. How are you? Welcome, Tina. Tina Silva it's not a secret now. Tina Silva is another blonde. She's quite open about that now. So, Tina, thanks for joining us. If they land, there will be diplomatics from their planet, and it will have diplomatic immunity, so we'll not have to pay taxes or fines. Well, it might be like it might be sort of like Close Encounters type situation. They may not land openly. That would be different, wouldn't it? Somebody who's Russian, it looks like Russian, they're saying, hello, pig. Who's the pig? Lisa, who was the one who kept calling me a piglet? I don't know. James T. Matthews has served in Charles as a Illuminati Battalion. Oh, where are we? Okay, I'm gonna have to. Okay, I have to skip some of these comments. I'm sorry. Zoden TV. I'm reading out this comment. Hi, you sexy. Hi, Zoden. Right, James. John Titor was created. Right, I know. I know John Titor was made a lot of predictions that didn't come true, but that's interesting to know. Thanks. Right. I'm not going to publish this yet until I've had a look through this, but someone is posting me something to translate. I was checking it's not something trollish. Hang on. Language. Right, I get it. So long. What's your name? They're putting rude stuff in Russian, so I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. John Cutter. Hello, John. Hi, Ben. When are you going to do another cooking video? I love the chocolate trifle one, and so did the wife. Oh, lovely. You had some of that Hapanmo trifle. Right, John. I'll have to see if I can find any more recipes. Charles declassifies drives a Toyota, don't you? I thought you'd be more a BMW or Porsche type guy, wouldn't you? I mean, you Charles, you have to drive a car that makes James Bond's vehicles look like mini metros. You are Charles after all, ain't you? That was oh, this is. Oh, I think this is another idiot here. All right. Oh God, this is taking ages. I've got to go to translate again. Someone else is writing stuff in Russian. Russian detected. English. Right. There's another person I've got to ban. Okay. And somebody else I've got to ban. I think the trolls are now gathering. All right. Bill is retired, says Brian Clare. Who's that? Is that Bill? Bill who? Bill Maloney. Is he? Is Bill? I thought that's why I haven't seen him for a while. I hope he'll be all right, Brian. I really will. Because just send him my best wishes if you see him, because I really respected what he did. He was angry, Armand. Yeah, I can understand why. After what he went through, he wanted to put a stop to it. And Charles, Bill was he? Bill Maloney was a fraud. Oh, Hugo Rune. When are you starting your European elections live stream? Hugo, you've just turned up in the middle of it. Hugo, I did put a notice up there, mate. Hope you're all right. Anyway, it's good to hear from you again. Neil Desperano says, Brian Harvey says that Bill Maloney was a plant to steer the investigation. He's disappeared since Brian called him out. And the Pie and Mash was set up to protect establishment pedos. Well, Neil, is this just you saying that Bill Maloney was a shill? All right, please, Neil and Brian as well. Sorry, not Neil, not Brian. Charles Declassified, and Neil Desperandum. Could you please watch my video? I put it up just a few videos back. It's called The Shill Squad 3 Tribunal. Please watch that video. Save that for the initiation ritual. Armand Adams, when are you going to be back on KBS? Says Armand. That's Kev Baker show. Next Tuesday, I'll be back there. Right, Charles, I've not seen the thing with Sonia Poulton about that. But as I said, please watch my video about the tribunal, because I think it's important to take into account the points I make about things like this. James Shells, more immigration. I need someone to hold my morning mint chips. Did you, Brian? You did actually. I remember you with Sonia. You did a thing with Sonia Poulton. I like Sonia Poulton. I think she's cool. I was annoyed with David Icke actually, because do you remember that when that damn People's Voice broke up, and there was all kinds of fingers pointing about who did what and who's responsible, where did the money go, who stole the money, etc., etc. And David Icke did a video saying, basically slagging off Sonia Poulton, and I was watching it. I think, oh God, David, what are you doing? I thought you were above this sort of thing, David. I thought this is the kind of conversation you need to have in private with Sonia. You shouldn't be making videos about it. And of course, Sonia Poulton then made her a couple of very angry and indignant replies to David's video. And quite frankly, I don't blame her. That was disreputable of David, I thought. It really was. Brian, yes, check out my Panama Radio for Brian, my interviews with Brian Clare. Please do check those out. And I've gone down to the bottom again. All right. Yeah, okay, I think the comments are slow. We've still got 58 people watching, but the comments are slowing a little bit. James T. Matthews, vote Boris. You know, James, you know, if Boris is our Trump, yeah. Who he is, I don't know yet. I'm not going to denounce him without evidence. As I say in my shill video, my latest shill tribunal video, check that out. I'm not going to denounce him without evidence, but I'm going to be cautious. 69 Fouquet, I can't believe Morrissey's been banned. He's a new thought criminal, isn't he? That's like really annoying. I mean, he's not like a new emerging person from the music industry. He's been around for ages. Do you remember the Smiths? And his solo stuff is really good. And it's like, but now he's been banned. He's been banned because apparently he's a racist. But actually, you know, actually, I don't know what Morrissey's been saying to get himself branded a racist. But let's face it, 99% of the people in the world who are called racists are 100% innocent. David Icke's a racist. I'm a racist. You know, who hasn't been called a bloody racist? Everybody's dog has been called a racist. What's that lady, David Icke's friend, the author? She's been called a racist. She's a black woman. She's been called a racist. It's like, oh, God. Just shut up with all this racist stuff. Stop banning people all the time. Oh. Vote Jedi, says Charles. Oh, yes. Vote Yoda. Starshine, I think Tommy Robinson probably will win, actually. And like I said, I've talked about Tommy on my Brexit videos, and I don't think he's a racist either. I don't think he's a monster. I think he's wrong about some things, but I don't believe he's a bad guy. I'd like to talk to him, and if he wins, I'll be glad, actually, because good. Oh, the Liberal Democrats, James, don't talk about the bloody Liberal Democrats. I've been seeing these damn posters, these diamond-shaped posters I told you about. I've been seeing them everywhere. I bet 69, Phuket, I reckon Morrissey, next time he does a concert, because I know he's still active on the music scene, he's going to have protesters out there with milkshakes, isn't he? No, James, you're wrong about Brexit. You're totally wrong. Oh, where are we? Okay. All right. I'm just going to have a look at this. James Tilly Matthews said, we're never happier than when we're invading Belgium. James, just wait. I'd invade Brussels. I'd invade the EU Parliament and arrest them all. I really would. Neil Desperando, economic slavery will be the mark of the beast. Yes, who was it who said, I think it was James Tilly Matthews who said they would vote for anyone who put people who are unemployed on a database. Don't be a fool, James. Mr. Ben, slavery equals freedom, hate equals love, and Brexit equals remain. That's your new version of 1984, is it? Double plus good. Richard Kinzer, hello. We require some good old-fashioned fire and brimstone. Oh, well, you know, who knows what will happen. 69 Phuket says, we were the last coal burners in Withamshire. Well, you know, 69, just wait until free energy is declassified. What will we use coal for? After free energy, I suppose you can actually extract minerals from it. You can extract chemicals from it. There'll still be a role for both the oil industry and the coal industry in the post-disclosure world, but it'll be much less. Starshine, I'm getting a bit tired. I'll be good for over 2 hours now, but I love talking to you guys. I love doing these live streams. I think they're cool. Mr. Pipe CX, hello, welcome. I have a feeling the Brexit party has a huge gain and the Conservatives have lost a lot of votes. Yeah, I think yes, I think so. I mean, I really, as I said before, the little parties always gain on the big parties in the European Parliament. Hopefully this will be a complete whitewash. They bloody deserve it, I'll tell you. People have described the European elections this year as the ultimate protest vote. Well, maybe it is, but I mean, that's what I was thinking of when I was trying to think about whether to vote or not. Yeah. There we go now. Okay. Robin Shelby. So I've got someone new. Robin Shelby, welcome. When my mum used to say Hitler wanted a super race when I was about 5 years old, I thought he meant a race as in an egg and spoon race. Oh, I'm nearly at the end now. Right. There's been no new comment. I've sort of come to the bit where I'm caught up with the comments now. Right. Yeah, I mean, I like Morrissey, Neil. I mean, I've not heard what he's been saying, you know, but I know he's been stirring up controversy about some things, and I think I know he's very keen on animal rights. He's vegetarian, I believe, and I know that he has got some great songs, some fantastic songs that were part of my growing up process. Zephram, hello. welcome, Zephyrin Cochrane. Good to see you again. David Lactasu, a new poster. Hello, David. Right, you guys. And Ibanez Roaster. Hello, how are you? Gemma O'Doherty has some bother in Ireland's election. I bet she has. I've been actually reading this here. And where is it? Here we go. Gemma O'Doherty, yeah. Her interviewing Ian R. Crane. I was actually halfway through that when I had to do this. I'll probably watch it while I'm going off to sleep now. But I bet you she's had a hell of a lot of bother. But, you know, I wish her luck, Gemma. I mean, please, good luck to you, man. Good luck to you. Well done for what you're doing. I've been watching some of your videos, and people often come on to, people write to me, actually, and they recommend Gemma O'Doherty to me. Hugo Roon, I've been waiting here ages, Ben. Still waiting for your talk on the Euro elections. Oh, God, Hugo. Hugo, which time zone are you in, mate? What's happened to your watch? It must have broken down. You're 2 hours late, mate. Oh, where are we? Ibanez Roaster. I'm Scottish. Are you? Well done, Ibanez. Mr. Pipe CC, I'm hoping we have another election. As much as I hate going to vote, let's put Farage's PM seat as a big fat fuck you. Yeah, well, you know, I actually think, Mr. Pipe, that's the main motive for people voting, and that was what I was thinking when I was thinking of whether to actually to vote in this particular election. That it is basically a finger in the air to the mainstream, which I really would like to see. All right, I've made a mistake. Okay, look, I'm tired. What did you say? Gemma O'Doherty has had some bother in Ireland's election. That's what I said. Which comment do you mean? I'm tired. Give me a chance. Give me some slack, will you? Read the comment before what? I don't know. Oh, here we go. Right, and the stream got taken down. I'm Scottish and she's inspiring. Right, is that the comment you mean? Okay, no worries. Is that the comment you mean? Because that's the bother she had, was she? It got taken down. Let's just refresh it and see if it's still there. It's there now. It's there now, Ibanez. I think maybe it was a recording. I think it is very yes, very true. It was a bit dramatic, yes. You know, maybe this is a recording that she's uploaded. She may have managed to. Yeah, this is on her channel, and it does a live thing. But maybe, who knows? Maybe that's to do it again. Maybe she broadcast it. Right, where are we now? Let's. Mr. Pipe says, while we're at it, let's give Scotland their independence, one less burden to look after. Mr. Pipe, well, you know, yes, Ibanez, she's worth following. Yeah, please follow Gemma O'Doherty. As for Scottish independence, I made a video about this. I'm completely in support of it. As I'm a Welshman. I live in England. I'm an expatriate Welshman. I'm 100% behind them. But there's no point being independent, and this is what Alex Salmon was talking about, and indeed that's Salmon woman. What's her name? Sturgeon. It's funny why do they name these people after fish all the time? Salmon and Sturgeon. They're all named after big fish. They're talking about independence for Scotland, and Sturgeon's a big second referendum person, but it's all because they want Scotland to be in the EU, and indeed, Welsh nationalism is so bloody cucked now. It's unbelievable. I mean, most Welsh nationalists are now federalists. And by federalists, I mean they want a single-stage transition from Wales from being part of the United Kingdom into being a member state of the EU. And my answer to that is, talk about jumping out the frying pan into the fire, you bloody fools. That's why I'm no longer a Welsh nationalist. I used to be a Welsh nationalist. I'm not anymore. And Scotland, I think, are going to go the same way. All right. What's that about Larry Warren, James? Code Basildon Bond. Basildon Bond is like a cutlery or crockery, isn't it? Clopite, how's your schedule? Tours, speaking events, trips? Oh, lots of them, Clopite. For example, in July, I'm speaking at the Swansea UFO Network in July. I think it's the end of July. I'm not going to look it up now. Sorry. Robin Shelby, glad you took it a bit of tongue-in-cheek, matey. Morrissey's class, glad May left blubbering. Yes, I felt no sympathy for her at all. Pups C, hello, how are you? Britain has the chance to turn the centralised New World Order EU on its head through political change. Yes, we do. Times are changing. Free from the prison planet controllers. Yes, it makes me enormously proud to be British, because we are the nation that could bring. We are the Britain has always had a reputation as being a fighting country, a country that's tough. But we might be the member state that rebels and brings down the superstate. That makes me feel enormously proud. Brexit is an incredible opportunity. It is our Donald Trump. It really is. Oh, Russ Abbott. Yeah, Russ Abbott. You remember he was like the guy who used to wear a wetsuit, didn't he? Yeah. Oh, that was funny. That guy's really cool. I mean, is he still alive? I don't know. You off, Robin? Have a great weekend, mate. Have a great weekend. Mr. Pipe says, don't care about Scotland's well-being. Think of the savings cutting them out of the UK. Well, Mr. Pipe, it's a double-edged sword, because Scotland also generates revenue, especially through the oil industry. Because you must realise this came up during the independence referendum. They'd have to take over North Sea oil, probably. Well, it'd be theirs. It'd be a Scottish industry. Oh, paper brand, is it? Oh, right. Okay, Charles. I thought it was okay. James T. Matthew says, I was speaking code to Charles. Oh, right. Please don't try to understand. It may result in premature disclosure. Well, that's exciting. I mean, I want to understand. I really do. It's great news. Clopite, would you support British soldiers if we went to war with Iran? No, absolutely not. War with Iran. I mean, what if we get sucked into that? Just imagine what it'll be like. Would I really want to send people off to their deaths? I mean, it could have been me if I'd stayed in the Royal Navy. No, absolutely not. No, for goodness sake, that would be a war to end the bloody world. I mean, maybe that's what the Illuminati are trying to do, and they blackmail Trump into doing it. I just hope Trump can fight back. No, we must not have a war with Iran. I mean, the whole thing with Iran is being set up exactly like the whole thing with Iraq was. Absolutely not. There must be no war. It's an engineered war, and it's designed for the New World Order. We must indeed Dundee immediately. Oh, right. Sorry. Neil says 40% of North Sea oil is in English waters, but much is not tapped. Well, I suppose there'd have to be some kind of split then, wouldn't they? They'd have to probably decide where the border ran, wouldn't they? I'll be off to the woodlands living on rabbits, living in a hole, says Mr. If we have war with Iran. There won't be any rabbits left, Mr. Pipes. If there's war with Iran, the rabbits will all be dead. So will we. Clopite, yeah, Clopite, it's absolutely true. I hope to God this doesn't come up. Pup ceases Iran, another false flag event to try and get Trump in. That's what concerns me. They may try something like that, Pup C. This is if this escalates. I mean, this is why I think they're trying to shut up Assange. They're trying to lock him up. I mean, they're desperate to silence any journalist who might try to get to the back of this. You know, I mean, there could be something like this again. We must be on our guard. We really must be on our guard at this. James says 70 spent at the Scottish or in England. God save the Queen. Well, James, you know that's why Hadrian's Wall wasn't high enough, was it? You know. Neil, they'll have a go at Iran. General Wesley Clark on the 7th. Yeah. It could be the neocons will try and get Trump into a war with Iran. I can't, you know. Pipe, I support Trump too, you know, and I'm going to be down there in London when he turns up. But he's one man who's basically against all. I mean, the various people who supported him within the administration have been whittled away and replaced by these neocon hawks like John Bolton and people like that. Oh, there's 53 people watching now, and it's 20 past 11, and I do have to work tomorrow, so I think I'm going to have to call it a night, you know. Much as I've enjoyed this stream, I don't know if you've heard a background noise. I've got this fan, all right, because it's actually a bit hot in here, but it's getting chilled, it's getting cool now, so I'll switch that off. When I started doing the live stream, it was actually pretty hot in this room. But anyway, I hope it didn't give too much background noise. But do you mind if I call it a night now, guys? But, you know, all of you, James, Tilly, Matthews, and Rob Jack has just turned up. Hello. Oh, Rob's come up and asked me a question right at the end. All right, Rob. Sorry. Welcome, Rob. Have you ever done a show on spontaneous human combustion? I have a new theory on the subject if you're interested. I am, Rob. I have written an article. I've written several articles on the Hapanwo Voice blog about it. Please do go and check those out and leave comments there. But, I mean, I really need to end now. I'm sorry if you turned up earlier. Maybe we could have had more of a discussion about it. But please do check those videos, those articles out. Night, Charles Declassified. Thanks for posting. Zephyr Cochrane, night. Mr. Pipe, if the Queen is on their side, I think. But anyway, TK, thank you, TK. Night. And Denise Moore, thanks for posting. It's been great, you guys. This, obviously, as I said, Cloppite, thank you very much. Good to meet you. Good night, James Tilly Matthews and Pup C. Good night. As I said, these live streams would be nothing without you guys, because I'd just be sitting here talking to myself without you guys, and it would be very boring. I would never get 58 people watching. Night, DJ B2. There'll be another video coming up. Night, Ibanez Roadstar. It's going to be. I'm working on a new disclosure video because there's a lot of updates on the disclosure situation. Night, Sir Neil Desperandum. Thanks for joining us. Keep your thighs tight in your ears to the ground. John Cutter. Night. The wife loves you. Oh, that's good, John. That's not I do. And someone else I've got to get rid of. Another Russian. Hang on. Damn, you're so black. Oh, that's all right. Am I? It's actually I've just caught the sun because I've been out in the sun. Good night, John. Good night, Jim Bob. Night, Richard. Richard Kinset is there. Oh man, that's 2.5 hours nearly. That's sweet dreams. Night. 2 hours 20 minutes. Don't believe everything you read, and only half of what you read. Yeah, true, Cloppite. Absolutely true. But you know, I've done. Is this the longest? I've done a 3 hour plus one once of live streams. Good morning, Mary Lou. Oh, you know, it's morning somewhere where somebody is. Possibly that's why Susan, what's her name, didn't join us because she's in Australia. Susan Hayward, whatever her name is. Sorry, Susan, I can't remember the rest of your names. It's because it's late. But maybe she couldn't make it tonight because she's in Australia. She gets up very early to watch these live streams, which I appreciate very much. Neptune Returns is suddenly here. Hello. Neptune, I'm about to sign off, mate. Sorry. Unless you posted earlier and I didn't see your comment. I'm sorry about that. But Neptune Returns, hello. All right. What work am I doing tomorrow, Cloppite? I've got to mow somebody's lawn. And I've got to take their dog for a walk. Cheers, Charles. Oh, hey, Neptune, I'm sorry, mate. Hope your dog feels better soon. I know you've got to walk them. I know you often take them out for walks in the evening. Both of them. I hope, sorry, one of them. I think you've got more than one, haven't you? But I'm sorry, one of them's ill. Oh, dear. Okay, gentlemen and ladies. Thank you very much. It's 2 hours, almost 2 hours, 25 minutes. As for the EU elections, we'll have the results on Sunday, and please do check out Caroline's show. I'll be putting links to it as soon as we're live on Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to her new channel. Night. See you then, Neptune Returns. All the best for your dogs. And it's hopefully it'll be a whitewash for, even though I haven't voted myself, and you could say I'm a hypocrite. I'd like to see the Lib Lab Con get trounced by the alternatives, the Brexit Party and UKIP. And if you're in the West Country, vote Sargon. You know, Carl Benjamin, his real name is Sargon of Akkad. Vote for him. All right then, time to go. Oh, is it 3:22 in the morning? Is that the? Oh, Denise, is that the morning or the afternoon? Oh, you're finishing up work and going out tonight. All right, it's the afternoon. I'm glad. Thanks, Denise. Have a shot for me. Thank you. Make it a neat scotch. But thank you very much, Denise, for posting. And James Dimas Sargon. Yeah, Sargoy. All right. But as someone pointed out, his granddad's from St. Helena. Someone pointed that out in a comment, and I knew that actually. But that's interesting, that, isn't it? All right. I'm going to click the end stream button. No further comments, please. Thank you, all of you. Good night and God bless. Hospital porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.